Hey there, guys. Welcome back. It's Coach TD Wells, your business success and credit coach. And today we're going to be discussing in our week 6 success in 12 months. This is going to be a really good episode because this is something that I feel like a lot of people actually need in their lives. And if we don't implement it, if we don't actually visualize these things coming to us, then it's hard to actually make it transpire into your life because you actually can't see it yourself. So before anything transpires in your life, you have to be able to see and visualize all the things that are going to come to your life. Now, I'm sure I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but it's always good to hear the second and third and fourth time or more because you always learn something different and something new in that third or fourth time, right? So today we're going to talk about acting as if. Now, you can make that acting as if whatever it is that you want to be. So I'll just plug it in and I'll make it like acting as if you already have it, right? And that's one of the things that I think a lot of us lack. We don't believe and we don't see and we don't visualize because what happens is our blueprint holds us back, meaning whatever you grew up with, whatever was in your childhood at that point in time, that's pretty much what's embedded. And it's going to take a lot. It's definitely going to take a lot to break loose from that blueprint. But when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, that's when things will break loose for you. Now, look, nobody knows when and exactly that's going to transpire. I would just say that if you just keep plugging away at whatever it is that you're wanting to achieve and just be passionate about it, because money is not going to be the driving factor. As a matter of fact, you're going to lose interest if you're focused too much on money. It's when you're passionate about whatever you're doing and you're continually working at that one thing or that thing that really drives you. That's when money is abundant. It actually comes to you effortlessly. And that's what we're going to achieve today. We're going to act as if we already have it. And if you haven't heard this before, just let me explain exactly what we're going to get into here. If you have heard it before, then let this be a reminder that that it's a very powerful lesson that you can and you should be implementing on an ongoing basis. Now, here's what happens. A lot of people often worry about certain traits that they lack, and you may even obsess over them. I don't know. I mean, that's just something that I think a lot of people do. They obsess over the things that they don't have. And it's just an interesting world that we live in. And it's always whatever it is that you can't have, we want, right? And that's just the way it works. So let me give you an example. Maybe you don't think of yourself as confident, right? And then you look outside of yourself at your immediate circle of friends, or maybe like some of your coworkers or colleagues, and you see somebody who on the outside generally appears to be pretty confident. And then you look at them and you think, man, if I really wish I can be that confident like that person. And I think that's what ends up happening is we want to be like everybody else other than just being our authentic self. Now, if only I was just, you're thinking, if I was just a little bit more confident, maybe I could have the same success as they have. And that's so far from the truth because you'll never have the same success as someone else. And I'll give you a little bit of a quick analysis of what I mean by that is that, remember, whenever you see somebody on the internet or social media, or maybe you even know that person, and what ends up happening is that they are passionate about what they do. But if you try to jump in, let's just say they're making $1 million plus or multi-millions or whatever it is they're making that makes them so successful, you're going to jump in and dive into something that you totally know nothing about, or maybe you do, but you're just not passionate about it. So find that one thing that everybody tells you should go and do, right? Because that's the one thing you talk about the most. And then the one that you feel good about, that's what I feel we are missing. Okay. Now, if you just focus on that piece of it, things will just transpire the way they're supposed to transpire for you. Now, the truth is you simply can. And if you feel like this, like if you try it, like just try this. The next time you're feeling low confident, maybe you're in a social situation that requires everybody to give input. I'm sure you've been in that situation, right? Like in a boardroom style or classroom type setting, and where all the students, they all get a chance to give some input on everybody. and it seems to be like giving answers in a confident fashion, or everybody seems to be giving answers in a confident fashion, but you don't really feel all that great about that part, right? Maybe you even shy away from giving an answer because you don't want to criticize anyone or however you're feeling at that point in time. But what if in this case instead you stood up and you just pretended like you were confident and you spoke as though you had a lot of confidence, literally just pretending and faking almost like you're an actor on stage, right? Because that's at the end of the day, I mean, you really have to act as if. That's what I mean by that. Now, you're going to suspend disbelief, and for the next minute or two, you're going to act as though you have an abundance of confidence and see what kind of answer comes out. Think about that for a second. Here's the thing. It doesn't necessarily make you confident in that moment. It doesn't necessarily cure all your confidence issues, but it does portray a new era or a new image of confidence that you didn't have before, right? So a lot of people have reported, and this is what I found, I don't want to say reported, but I found when trying to do this once, they started acting that way. And then that way they were able to continue it. So maybe you try it once in this classroom environment, for example, and you stand up and you act like you're confident, even though you don't feel like it. And you realize nobody really caught on, right? Because no one really knows if you messed up or not. That's the great part about it. So here's the thing. Next time they poll the room for a question or answer, try the same thing and see if it happens again. And I guarantee you, sure enough, it probably will happen again. You'll start to realize it really is true. It's really true that all I need to start doing is acting like I have a certain level of confidence, portraying that as though, and I have this level of confidence, and I'll actually develop that confidence. That's what happens. You'll start to develop that. And it seems simplistic at the root level, but ultimately this can work for you if you give it a shot. You just got to give it a chance. And this can work beyond just confidence. That's just an example I'm giving you right now, but this can really work in any area of your life. So here's what I'm going to talk to you about. Here are the action steps. What we want to do this month is give you a list of action steps that you could start taking week after week that will help you implement this idea of acting as if, and then pretending or being an actor in your role in life. But it's more than just pretending, guys, okay? As you saw it in your previous example, this is something that can literally reformat the way your brain and subconscious mind operates. And it all starts with this first exercise, if you will, which is just listing 5 negative personality traits, or you might even want to call them weaknesses, that you think that you have. And don't say you don't have any weaknesses, because we all have something that we're dealing with and that we need to work on at the end of the day. Earlier, we were just talking about confidence issues. So maybe you look at other people and think, wow, they're pretty great at what they do at communicating themselves. And when I talk to somebody, I just can't get my ideas out there. So if you think you have like certain areas where you're weak on your personality trait, it's just not where you want it to be, write it down as if we're in your top 5, if you will. And then look outside yourself and start thinking of other people that you know who don't share these weaknesses, and list those people based on the weaknesses or the weakness. So one person per weakness is what I'm getting at. All right. That's what I mean. So let me repeat that again. I want you to start thinking of other people that you know who don't share the same weaknesses as you, in other words, and list those people based on the weakness. So that way, it's one person per weakness. You got it? So if you know somebody who's confident, list them. If you know somebody that's really good at business or really good with managing our finances, and you think that you're competent in that area, list them, or that you think they're competent in that area, list them. And then we can start examining that aspect of it. Then in the third week, when you start to process this, you want to do a breakdown here and then break down why you think those people don't share the same weaknesses as you. Now, these are the action steps that I'm going to need you to take throughout this process, guys. I'm really going to need you to focus on this part of it and make sure you're doing this and you're implementing it if you want to go through this process. Now, what is it specifically about the way that they act that make them proficient versus you when it comes to being not so good at this particular thing? Now, let's go back to finances. If they're so good at managing their finances and they have an abundance of money, how are they acting differently? Can you decompose from an outsider's perspective? What is it that they do? Like, in other words, reverse engineer, like think about it backwards, like that's another way. And some people process it that way. But remember, you do have to visualize anything before it transpires in your life. So do they carry themselves in a certain way? Think about that. Maybe you have had a conversation with them and you realize they were very shrewd or straightforward or blunt, and they're always studying like the market or whatever the case is that makes them a success in your eyes and their eyes. I don't know what it is, but look at those people and start making that contrast between yourself and them. All right. That's some of the action steps that I want you guys to start to implement in this whole process. Now, using the above information that I just gave you, start identifying different ways that you can start acting as if, whatever that may mean to you. And if you don't think about your finances, or if you're currently not really somebody who worries about investments, and this person that you're analyzing is doing a lot of these different things, how can you start acting a little bit more like them in that department, right? Think about that piece of it. Maybe it starts off with you picking up a financial newspaper or a magazine, or looking at a website for 20 minutes a day, or to get yourself tuned into those ideas and begin and start the beginning processes to tune your mind into how it is that you'd want to be a financial success, right? And using all this information, start thinking immediately, how can I act as if I already am? How can I change things that I perceive as a weakness, as negative personality traits? Start immediately transforming those into positives, or things that you do proactively to become proficient at these particular things, simply by acting as if you already have done it. You already have the confidence. You already have whatever it is that it takes to get to the level that you want to get to. In other words, model the individual just like you would model a business, right? Like a franchise. They actually give you a franchise and they say, okay, here's a McDonald's franchise. We already give you the model. So you just have to follow the model. You don't have to do any other steps other than just basically be there and watch how our model is done from afar. And then you could take it and implement it. It's no different. A 17-year-old and 17-year-olds currently run McDonald's as we speak, 18 and 19-year-olds. So with that being said, what's the difference with your personality traits? There's no difference. And if you don't have those characteristics, like I was saying, or the personality trait right now, you can develop those. And if you were just to act as if you did, how could your life absolutely change? What would you do? What would it change right now in your life? And that is the goal for this week. And I want you to understand that you just have to process the information, take the actionable steps that are necessary, and keep it moving. Move forward rapidly, quickly. Do it, implement it. Don't wait. Now, I know this message won't get through to every single person, and I don't expect everyone to take action, because most people, they're not even, probably won't even listen to this. I challenge you to hone in and focus on exactly what I'm saying and take the actionable steps. And if this only impacts one person, I'm okay with that. As long as it's impactful, and as long as you're implementing that one person that actually listens to this and implements, right? And stay with the course. Whatever it is that you're passionate about, go for it. Don't stop, don't quit. And I'll give you one more example. I always like to equate the musician, the artist. You ever think about it this way? I'm not a musician, but I probably could have been one. And at the end of the day, here's what I would say. You ever hear a hit record and go, whoa, that person, man, I can't believe it. I never heard them before, but they're really successful, right? But you did what you didn't see is you didn't see all the flop records they made. You didn't see all the flops that had to transpire before they got the hit record. So what I'm saying to you is that you might flop a few times, but eventually you will write a hit record. All right. So wishing you success. See you at the top.